JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. Please hit like. And yes, you are correct. I am not a French artist from Paris. Today we're going to strip this watch down and clean it. It is the 1982. No, it's not. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I should save that for a blooper reel. This is an 1885 vintage Elgin pocket watch from the town of Elgin, USA. So we're going to strip this down and clean it. I've got to check out that mainspring barrel because I think there's something wrong there. But let's get on with stripping. This is my vintage carriage. This is definitely a blooper reel this morning, eh? And I haven't gone into my but that's all, folks. This is my vintage carriage clock mapping and web. So I'm just showing you how I'm not taking out any nonsense out of this video. So I'm going to time how long it takes me to strip this thing down using this carriage clock. That's a pile of crap. I'm not actually going to do that. But let's strip this watch down now. All right. The first thing I noticed in this, just by the bezel, there's a notch here. Usually that notch is for popping the bezel open. But it might be an alignment notch as well, because there's a notch there. And if I turn it around this way, there's another notch here, I think. And it looks like there's another notch here. So I'm not sure what these notches are about. And actually the bezel ring, the bezel opening slice is right here. That's the slice used to focus your knife when you open the bezel. I can see it right here. There's a groove right there, right, for opening the bezel. So we're going to just take this bezel off right now and then check out these notches. This watch has got all sorts of crazy crap happening, I think, right? So there we go. So that bezel is officially removed. Yeah, there's the notches on the bezel. Tell you which way it goes. But you know that the top part has got to allow for this here. So, but there are notches here. I've never seen that before. And I guess that's not a bad idea because it allows you to align it properly. And I can see in the case there's all kinds of this flaky material. Looks like chalk or something. I'm not sure what that is. But we'll clean the case up as well and not have to deal with that chalky material. And just so I don't have to deal with the seconds hand causing a problem, I think I'll remove that right away and get that out of the way. And I want to remove the balance as well, the balance cock and the balance complete, just to get it out of the way. And I've got some plastic I'm going to lay down here. I'm going to find it first while I want you to entertain yourself while I'm looking for the plastic. Oh, there we go. I found it. Some people like when I mumble and other people go, why are you mumbling so much? So these are my very small hand removers, and they're often adequate for doing this job. There we go. I want to go straight up on that. And I'm actually going to pick this up with Rodico. Like that. And put it next to the other hand I have here. On the mat. And I have a very thin piece of plastic. You can just use a bag, like a plastic bag, but make sure it's super thin so it's pliable. When you get your watch hand remover underneath, you want to make sure it's very pliable. So that's that. I love the angle on the hinge here. It's really cool. It's I said yesterday, I said it was at 9 or 11 o'clock. It's actually not. If you flip this around, it's at the 7 o'clock position. 7 o'clock, 7:05 position. So now I want to just be able to drop this out. First thing I want to know is that if I pull this out, is it going to move? And it's not. And the reason it's not moving, if you look closely, there's a screw right here. And that screw actually is aligned with a notch in the stem that keeps that down. A lot of the European watches had that, but some of these had it as well. And it just keeps the stem in position. As you can see, nothing happens here when I move this. I'm really curious when I do that if I can see movement right there on the arbor. So I'm going to look down here and see if the arbor moves. And yes, it does. So see if I can focus this a little bit. And can you see the arbor moving? Yes, you can. That means the winding mechanism is working. It's just the mainspring is broken, which is something you just have to deal with, right? And I don't know whether I can remove the balance cock straight up before I take everything else out. That's always a good practice if you can get away with it, because then you don't have to concern yourself about the balance having a problem. So I'm just going to loosen the screw here. Loosening the screw, and I always put my parts out of the way so I don't damage anything or lose any parts. And this, I got to put this away somewhere. Anyway, get it out of the way for now. Out of the way. Out of the way. And the lady whose watch this is, hopefully she's appreciating this crazy work I'm doing on her watch, right? Now, I want to get the screwdriver in here to wedge that open like this, but I don't want to leave any marks, right? So I want to get the smallest screwdriver, one of the smallest screwdrivers I have, and just kind of go in the edge here and see if I can just do that, which I can, which is nice. And I'm just going to put my finger down here to get that loose, and I'm going to put that on a balance cock right now, but I'm going to go get my dunker tank, the famous dunker tank. Well, this is the famous dunker tank. This was invented by me and made by me, and I did deface 2 Canadian coins to make this. So went to the local hardware store, got myself a nut, took all the knurling off the nut, went inside with my lathe, took all of the threading outside, or got rid of the threading with my lathe on this nut, put a little pad on the bottom of any type pad, but this is just leather on the bottom. And then this here is simply a platform that goes down on these 2 screws. And then I've got some coins down here that I threaded, and these coins will go up and down when I do this. And it makes the platform go up and down. And then these, there's little feet on the bottom, but these are threaded right into the plate here. And then I made a nice well threaded, and you can see the threads move on that, so I can change that. Interchangeable. A threaded tack, balance tack. So now when I rest this down, I can rest it right on the top there, and the balance will go in here for cleaning. I do have another platform. I'm not sure where the hell it is, but it's a little piece of leather I use on the top of this. It seems to have run away. It may be hidden. I'll be back in a second and see if I can find it. I have found it, and this piece of leather goes on top like this and allows me to rest the balance on here and take all the stress off the hairspring. So I can lower that. I think I'm lowering it, and I'll lower them both to the lowest point possible. There it is there. So I figured there was a real good reason why we have the loonie. Canadian loonie. It's good for watchmaking. So now when I grab the balance, let me just see if I can just take this balance straight up. Come on, balance. And on this type of watch, the balance goes straight up, and then I can align it with this and then lower it straight down. And there we go. And you can see how that just takes the stress off that hairspring completely. And then usually what I do, because this is going to be worked on at the very end, and the regulator arm comes off with that, is I will get a watch tray, and I will very carefully, hopefully the word carefully works here, carefully put that into the watch tray. And if I recall, the feet kind of align here somehow. Do they align? I can't remember. But I want to put that in the watch tray so it's like that. And then I put a cover on it so now it's protected. And now I don't have to worry about knocking the balance. I'd have to intentionally knock it with the tray. So it's in there, and it's in there good, and it's sitting on the edges. And the other thing I want to do here, because I'm going to work on it later, is this is my new technique of putting a rubber band around the top of the lid of this tray, and that way the lid, I can pick it up by the rubber band and it comes up with the tray and everything. So it's tray nice. So now I'm not afraid of this watch at all because I've gotten rid of the balance, and that comes straight up, and you can see the in the center there, right there, there's the pallet fork, and that pallet fork is a straight pallet fork. The only challenge here is with these full plate watches is sometimes they're tricky to get all the pivots in. As well, if there's any issue with the pallet fork, I've done this before, you got to do a lot of work. I've done some mixing and matching of pallet fork parts. I've also done some machining of stuff for pallet forks. So that's typical. So here I've got 2 half screws. I friggin' hate these half screws, by the way, because they're supposed to allow you to just drop the movement down, but there's no purpose for this. Really, because you're going to take them out for cleaning anyway. So why am I dropping these things halfway down? So I'll just take this, leave it like that, turn the whole watch around like this, and then I should be able to push this up and through. But I'm not going to force anything because I may have to take the stem out on this. I am not absolutely sure. So without farting around too much, there may be tabs here for the movement as well, to hold the movement in. And I don't know, this thing looks like it hasn't been taken out in 1,000 years. Yeah, there's nothing going on here. So what I'm going to do is take these screws all the way out so they're not interfering with anything. See if I can do that. Just take them all the way out, get them out of the way so you know they're not part of the problem if you're having issues getting the movement out. Now the good thing about videotaping all this crazy stuff is that I can refer back to the video later if I have an assembly issue. It's easy for me to go back to the video and say, okay, this is what happened. So this is still not coming out. So what we're going to do here, all right, is I'm going to just remove this stem because I don't think this will come out. There seems to be something locking it, which might be these pins right here. These pins might be preventing it from sliding out. I can see no other reason for these pins. Let me see if I can see around the side of these pins here. And there's white, whatever this white material is on these pins is crazy. This one here has nothing to do with it. And there's this white material here. So I might have to just remove the stem and then deal with that. So I'm going to get a screwdriver out here, and I'm going to take this screw and just loosen it. I'm going to lower my chair so I can see what the hell I'm doing. I may go up a screwdriver, as they say in the screwdriver business. It's funny when I listen to Donald Trump, he makes words up and then he says, as they say. It's called the whatever, as they say. So this seems to be in pretty friggin' tight. There we go. I've loosened this up a bit. I'm not sure if that'll allow me to take, yeah, there we go. So there's the stem, and you can see on this side, this is where the groove is. So this will allow me to clean the stem as well. Looks pretty old, but it's intact, which is nice. So that's the stem for the pocket watch. And just so I don't lose the damn screw, I'm going to put it back in. And the threading on this, or the groove for the screw, is not that great here, so we'll just have to make sure I don't lose it. I'm looking inside here and I can see the screw coming through. You can see that right on the other side of where I'm pointing. It's right there. You can see that screw there. That's the retaining screw, and now with any luck the movement should fall out. I'm not sure if it will happen, but let me look. I got to open the lid now. So now my problem is different problem. The lid won't open unless I press down here, so I need to do this and press down to open up the lid. I can't do that until the retaining screw is out of the way. Yada 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 yada, and yada yada, because the lid closed. I snapped the lid closed. So vintage pocket watches. Oh my God. Oh me, oh my. Come on, stop it. I'm slipping a bit here. I apologize, but this thing is wanting to slip. Let me see if it'll go in again past the screw. Not yet. Needs to go up a little higher. I'm going to use a bigger screwdriver. Even more. All right, that should be good enough. So it's probably the movement preventing it from going the distance. Yeah, the movement's knocked down. So I got to try to put it in place a bit. Oh, there we go. And now when I press down on this, it should allow me to open the lid, which it's doing. And now I can remove the crown and flip this around, and possibly the movement will come out. There we go. So now the movement has come out. God bless the movement. So this thing here, I'm going to have to wash this. So I might put this into my ultrasonic cleaner and just give her a go. Because look at all the crap in here. Right? Like I said, the screw here, I want this screw to be in place so I don't have the issue. I'm going to put my fingers in here so the lid doesn't close, because it wants to snap closed. But I want to make sure that screw is down so somehow it doesn't find its way gone. I have a lot of screws, so I could potentially replace this screw, but I don't want to have to do that. So there we go. So that's the case. I'll move this out of sight. I'm going to take this thing off because this is just a pain. Find out which side this thing goes on. This is like one of those fishing lure leader line things, eh? So there we go. There's markings on this thing too. What does that say? It's called a bead chain. Well, we kind of know that. And there's actually an end on there, so you could hook something on there. So this is interesting. So we'll keep this in another area with the case, and we'll clean that case at a later time. And here's my movement. So let me look at what we got here. We have, yeah, we do. We have a dust cover, and usually they just slide off. We'll see if that actually works for me. And we have dial screws right here. So we'll take those off first to get rid of the dial so it's safe. And how many dial screws we have? It seems like we only have one dial screw. That makes no sense at all. And if you look here, the actual hour hand is right here. It was broken off. So that needs to be removed. So let's remove that while I have the dial intact. And I'll use my wide spreaders. And these ones here put a lot less stress on the actual dial when you use them, because they're professional spreaders. And I'm going to use a big ass piece of plastic here from a bag and just go in like this, get this like that, and then move that up. And see that that's leftovers, but it gives me a good idea of what size the hour hand was, like this. All these watches end up being a mystery at the end of the day when you're taking them apart. You're going into areas sometimes you haven't seen before, so you just have to be super careful and take your time so you don't mess anything up. I'm going to put the bezel ring over here with the case as well. This looks like it's in pretty good condition. These things are solid, like big pieces of metal. But what I don't know here, again, like I said before, is that it looks like there's only one screw here for the dial. That makes no sense at all, unless these things are friction fit, or there's something on the inside that I don't know about. First, I think this is 2 halves. I've done these before, and there's usually 2 halves to these. So you take your screwdriver and you slip one out like that. And you see how that dust cover just comes right off? I recall doing this before. So I've done a lot of pocket watches. That's one half. And then the other half slips out the other way. And you just push that. And because it's somebody said it's a gilted movement, which is kind of a gold-filled gilted, but I believe it's brass. I'll argue with Sonny Morehouse later on that. But he's the administrator of the Facebook site, and he's got friggin' probably 100,000 members on that site right now. I might be exaggerating, but a lot. It's a very well managed site now that Sonny's taken over, and he's a really good guy, so very supportive. So here we go. So there's the movement on the inside, and you can see the components: mainspring, barrel. These ones are pretty simple. The only problem you can have here is if you have a bad pallet fork or something like that. So I can strip this down fairly quickly. I'm just looking at this watch, and I can see that there should be a dial pin right there. So if I look at this movement here, and you can see right here there's supposed to be a pin to hold the watch face on, and here there is a pin holding the watch face on, and that's kind of it. So I think here they used a screw to keep the legs down. So if I can just pull the pin out here, it'll be a nice day. And there we go. That's the pin there coming out, and that's to remove the dial. I'm just putting that aside right now. I'm going to have to put those in a tray so I can reuse them, because I want to reuse them. And this one here does not look like it has a pin. The pin came out on this one here, which is not good. And then, do I have any other pins? I don't have any other pins. All I have is this screw here, which I may be able to get out with this screwdriver here. So I just release that screw a bit. It may fall out, but we'll see what happens here. And then I'm going to move my hand around to the various positions. I'll tell you what's pretty handy is when you have thumbnails and stuff that are long when you're doing this stuff. It does come in handy. Yeah, and there's that one there, needs to be pushed out, I think. And I've got my guitar fingernails specifically made for watchmaking. There we go. And I will take a picture of this movement or the dial once I have it out. Just taking my time here and very slowly using my fingernail in here to provide friction. There we go. So now that's out, and the dial feet are in perfect condition, and by doing that I haven't bent anything. So when I look at this, there's a lot of corrosion here. So I'll show you what I'm going to do while I've got this in place. I could remove the corrosion after I take it out, but I love the fact this is in place because it's going to be cleaned anyway, and I want to take a picture of this the way it is, or just I might use the video to have a look at it after. But I've got a cleaning stick that I use that's got fibers. It's a fiberglass cleaning stick, and it's a Bergeron 6240 Bergeron, and it looks like a pen. And this stuff is great for cleaning. So I'm going to get a piece of watch paper here. Just always have a piece of watch paper ready, and put that down like this. I'm going to remove the hour wheel here, get that out of the way. And I just noticed that there's no dial washer on top of the hour wheel. That's interesting. And then the minute wheel, let me look at the minute wheel. Yeah, good. That scared me. It looked like there was some teeth missing, but no, that's good. Minute wheel's good. The canon pinion comes straight up, but I can use my canon pinion remover to remove that. So I'm going to grab that right now. And this is my canon pinion remover. It is vintage, just like the watch is. And you put this over the top of the canon pinion. Find two areas on the watch plate that are void of stuff. And you put that right over the top like this. You push down like this, and then you grab the canon pinion and you pull up. So that didn't work. It's got two mouths, kind of like it's kind of like that movie there, Alien, right? And you can usually push down and then take that and push it right up, and there it is. And that's how that's properly removed. So, and that's good. And let's just hope there's not a lot of work to do on there. So there's the center wheel exposed. So now this screw here, or the corrosion here, is just probably dried out oil or something. But I'll show you what I do when I sweep this. Let me put a little more light on this and maybe get down on, move my camera in a bit more so we're down on top a bit. That's too close. But here, let me just do this and show you. So if I do this, you'll see, and I can see that there's brushing going this way, so I'll try to be true to the brushing of the component. And just clean that off. And you can see that I'm kind of matching the brushing, even though the circular thing will go in probably differently. And while I'm down here, I can also do a little bit of work on the lever, and I can extend this material out just a bit more. And when you're working with this, it's not going to be in the air, so don't worry about it too much. But I'll just get rid of some of the corrosion on the lever. And then in here, these are old watches, so they're going to be full of corrosion here. I'm looking at this jewel hole, looks pretty pathetic, so I'm hoping that survives. And I've got some springs in here. I'm not sure what they're for, but if I get a bench key out now, let me just dump this for a second here. Let's see if anything falls out. Yeah, some fibers and stuff are falling out the bottom, but let me get out a bench key here. So seeing this is a size 18, I'll use my biggest bench key. And see if I can put that in here. And there you go. So this is how the movement actually works. Like that, and then when I push in, like this, or actually no, sorry, this is a lever set. So when I push the lever out, like that, that's the action you're getting. This part is odd. I'm not used to this part happening on the lever. So that's kind of cool. And I'm definitely going to take a photo of this before and after. Now before I continue with anything, I want to make sure that these parts I've worked on are in the parts tray, including those little pins that are used to hold the face down. I keep these out of the way, and the reason I keep them out of the way is that over the many years I've been working on pocket watches, I'm even going to keep this piece here, which is the root of the hour wheel, or the hour hand. The reason I do this, so this one here, this is recognizably the balance cock screw. Otherwise, I'd team it up with the balance cock. Maybe I should do that because I've got another tray for the balance cock. Nah, it's pretty obvious that's what that is. And there are the rings of Uranus. These are bands. I love the way they do these, actually. The dust cover and how it slides into the movement. That's kind of cool. I know the dust covers right now are round and they kind of snap in. Here's that crown that's going to need some corrosion removed from it as well. And then the face I can put right over the top here like that. And I'm going to grab the minute hand. I'm not sure if this is reusable. Seems to be a bit of a bend on this thing. If I look at this minute hand and you look at, see how that bends? If I can straighten that up, fine, but I'm going to try to find another one. And then thank God the seconds hand, which is a bugger to find. I have seconds hands, but I always have to kind of get them sized properly. Either the pipe for them is either too big or too small. So once again, I'm going to put the top on here. And do I have a rubber band for that? I don't see one readily available, so I'm going to have to go find. Oh, there's one. Here's a rubber band. And again, I'm only doing this so I make sure these parts don't find their way somewhere else. There, contained. And that's that way, if for some reason you drop this, right? I've never dropped one of these before, never. But if you were to drop them, it would be all contained, which is nice, right? Bing! Somebody binged me. Let me see what the bing is. But I'm going to take a photo right now. Let me see. This is a photo I'm taking of the movement in this position. Then I'm going to raise or pull the arm out and take a photo of it in this position. So now I have both photos in case I have an issue putting them together. This is probably not the most complex setting mechanism I've worked on, but it is not an easy one, but it's not the most complex one. And again, I want to brush this. So somebody is online, and somebody just asked me for a phone number. So I may have to get the phone number and get right back. So now I'm going to strip down these components here and get them aside. I'll take the stress off of the lever for the lever set mechanism and see if the screw, I like these screws to be easily removed. If they're not easily removed, I sometimes give up because I don't want to strip the screws, because if they've been in place for a lot of years, which a lot of them have, then it makes it a little challenging. And I'll match the screw with the component. That way I know when I put it back together that is the screw that goes with that particular component. This is the lever for the lever set mechanism. And then the springs in here, I often leave those in place. And I can see how this is kind of put together, and I want to take a picture of that as well, because when you reassemble, you want to make sure you're reassembling it exactly the way it was in there. So I'm just going to take another photo of this. Don't have the best lighting for these photos, but what the hell, right? This thing will just pop right up, and then the spring will likely just move out of the way. So, and this spring is just holding this back, as you can see, like that. So if I remove, this is resting against this part here, and then there's a stop here for this, what this screw is. I think that's just a stop. So I'll take this out here. Now, I think if I did a little research, I could figure out what the names were of all these components, but it's not going to help me at all in servicing the watch. So I'll take that out, and then I know that the wheels, yeah, that goes in there. There's the component. And I want to make sure there's no, let me just get in a little bit closer here. I want to make sure there's no chamfer on the teeth. So these teeth here, if there is a chamfer on the teeth, I got to put it in exactly the same way I took it out. So, and no, they're the same. So it's the same in one direction as it is in the other. But you do notice that, yeah, one side looks fairly cleaner than the other. So that's good. So anyway, we'll clean those wheels up there. And this is an intermediate wheel that interacts with the mainspring wheel. So I can take that out after if I want. Or I can sometimes just use Rodico to pull it straight out, because it wants to come straight out. Like that. So just push down with Rodico and then push up, and then it grabs that wheel. You don't have to concern yourself with losing it or something. Oh, I check the chamfer on this too. And there is none, which is great. I just want to make sure if the teeth are merging with the other part, then I don't have a problem there. So this component now will lift straight up. It should. The spring is kind of there, though. It's kind of in the way. But I'd rather not take the spring out. It's kind of funny how it stops right there, and there's just a little tiny lip here that's causing it to stop. But what I'll do is get underneath it with my screwdriver and kind of go up. I want to leave this spring where it is. I want to take that spring out. And if I do this, I don't believe I'm putting any stress on the other components. If I can do this. There we go. So that came out, not a problem. And I'll leave this spring in place, but I want to make sure that the screw for the spring remains intact. Yeah, good. It's not loose, which is good. And there's another spring right here I don't want to touch, and that's the spring, I believe, for the wheel that's on top of the mainspring. See if I can remove this. Is this going to go righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, or what? This one here seems to be very tight. It worries me. One thing I don't want to do is break a screw head off. That would be a disaster. That moves ever so slightly, so I may leave that in place and oil it after and not fart with the screw head here, because there is a chance, as remotely as it is, if I turn this and I put a lot of pressure on it, if that thing no, that's not moving. I'm very worried about that. I think I can leave it in place and oil it. It's part of a setting mechanism, so it's not going to interfere with the operation of the watch. It's over the mainspring barrel though, so, or no, it's not over the mainspring barrel. Good. It's actually just over the setting mechanism here. So I can take this out and have a look at it, but I can clean this and leave it in situ and then let it dry for a day, completely dry for a day, and then oil it after. Sometimes you don't have to oil these, by the way, on the inside or the teeth. They're not made to be oiled, really. And sometimes you want to. It depends on the watch, the specific watch. So I'll leave all of this intact, including this little spring right there, because I don't want to fart with this. And the rationale behind that is that if you do screw with these, and for some reason something breaks, you're going to have to buy a replacement movement. So, but I get my little brush in here and clean some of this corrosion off. I think I got to keep an eye on my clock, because I've got an appointment. I've got to deliver a watch to somebody where I changed the battery. If you recall, I had this very blinged out watch, and the battery required replacing. There's a lot of crap in here, by the way. So I'm going to work on this before I clean it, only because I know that it's going to take a bit of effort to clean this, and if I don't do this first, there might be leftovers. I can see all the stuff that's left over on the jewels here, and some plate corrosion here. See spots, it looks like mold or something, but it's not. I can see scratches right here, but I'm just going to use my brush to get rid of any corrosion that there might be in here. And all of this is hidden underneath the watch face, so I'm not like concerned about making marks on the watch. It just it needs to be done. So that's all hidden underneath. So I'm not too concerned about that. So there we go. So that's that part. Look at my time. Yeah, I've got time. So I'm just going to see what I do like about this watch is that, as it said in the description of the watch, that the jewel settings are individually screwed down. That's high end. That's very high end, actually. So let me get at this mainspring. So just to show you, but I'm going to get out my movement holder here that everyone loves. So this is the Academy Award winning, very famous Myers number 58 movement holder. Your third hand. So anyway, This movement holder is a must for anyone doing work on pocket watches or even vintage watches. So it has all kinds of different sizes for different type of watches. And once you have the movement in here, using poor English, it ain't moving. So this protects it nicely. As I grab this, and all I want to do is have some fun. I got a feeling. Just want to make sure that nothing gets squished when I put this in. So there's little spikies on the edge here that I don't like right there, that I do not want to be squished or interfered with. So I can just do this and then tuck the movement in like this, like that. And then I need to tighten it. And again, when you're tightening it, there's still a give. So even though it's tight, there's give because there's a spring in there that ensures it's tight. But look at that. This is the way you want a movement held. And it's solid. It won't rock back and forth. There's no issue here at all. So I'm going to remove the mainspring here. And all I need to do is take these two screws out here to remove the mainspring. Hi-ya! Oh, look at that. Came out easy. I love it. Like John Lovett. John Lovett actually made me a happy birthday wish. And in that happy birthday wish, he said, your wife wants you to exercise more and eat less protein bars and stop wanting to eat different food all the time and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, woman, relax. I'll have to play it for you. So one of my kids actually purchased this happy birthday from Loveth, and it's about a minute and 30 seconds long, and it's brilliant. And I love John Loveth. He's one of my favorites. So here's the mainspring barrel. I should be able to pull that out and then make it go sideways. And there's the ring in there. Again, I'm going to take another picture. Although, see if you can look at that. And the ratchet for that wheel is right there. So, but we're going to take another picture here. And there's yet another spring. And the spring has got blued screws in there as well. So the screws in here are also blued. This is impressive. Very impressive. So I can take this out after I get these other wheels out. I can take the ratchet out too after. So it doesn't have to come out now. So that's that. That's the mainspring barrel. And I'm really curious. I'm going to pop this barrel open right now and see what the status of the mainspring is. So there's the mainspring barrel. You just put your screwdriver in the edge here. Right here, I think, yeah. I got to use a different screwdriver. This one's way too big. Way too big. So this is a T barrel, I can tell, because there's a notch there. There's one notch here, so there isn't two. So I'm curious what type spring this is. And all I do is do this, and then I ride the screwdriver along the edge here to take the barrel out. What I don't want to do is bend the lid. If you bend the lid, you're screwed. So take that out, and it looks like it's been in there for a long time, folks. A long time. And I'm going to just push down on the arbor here because I want this to stay in place as I pull the lid up. Pull the lid up. There we go. There it is. And there is the broken mainspring. You see that break in the mainspring right there. And what I always do is take a picture of the mainspring again. And this allows me to make sure I have the right orientation, even though the arbor, the hook on the arbor helps me with that. So I maybe don't need to do that, but I do it anyway. Because I am anal retentive. So I'm moving that out of the way, and I'll show you how I take this mainspring out of the barrel after. So just move that out of the way because I do want to strip the rest of this watch down in one shot and then make the video because it's a one-shot stripping. So that's that. So now I really just have to loosen these two screws. So there's two screws that held the plate on for the mainspring, also support holding the plate down. So I'm true to form. I got to remove a screw and then move it out of the way. That's what I like to do. These screws are the exact same size as the other ones that were over the plate for the mainspring barrel. So there we go. And you wait till you hear a little tick, and that's when the threads are out. And there we go. That's 1 and 2. And do you think this will lift up? Probably not. So to lift that up properly, you take a small screwdriver like this, and you get it under the post right here, and then you just do that. And looks like it's ready to come up. And that is coming up with everything. See, it's come up with everything, folks. I'm going to take a photo of that, a picture of that, but I can see kind of how it all goes together anyway. But I'm going to take a picture. There's so much gum and oil in this thing that all the wheels came up at the exact same time, which is what happens when you've got this watch is over-gummed. I'd really like to have light. Turn on my flash here. There we go, and a little picture of this too. And there we go. And that was the crown wheel that wasn't coming out, and that's on the inside right there. And we'll see how we deal with that later. So here are the wheels. That is the intermediate wheel, I believe. And then I'm going to pull these straight up here. That's the center wheel. This is the fourth wheel. So the other one was the third wheel, and this is where the seconds hand goes on this wheel here. And just putting it aside here. And this is the escapement wheel. I was corrected a long time ago. And this, my friends, is the old pallet fork. And there's another picture requirement here, even though I could probably figure that out. So again, I love to take the pictures just so I don't think, oh, how did that go back? Now what I do like about this watch is that the quality of the screws on these it's impeccable. So here I just want to lift it up and out of the way, and then put this somewhere where it's not going to get damaged. I'm just going to put it aside for now. And that, my friends, is the plate. And each one of these jewels will be cleaned up and examined after the fact to make sure they're not cracked and have to be replaced. They actually look pretty good. This watch probably wasn't used much. It just was stored. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and there's a big screw right here. I'm not sure what that's for, but there's a big screw right there. It says 634324, and it's 634324, and then there's a little branding. What does that say? April 21st. Oh, it's almost faded here. April 21st. So this watch was made, this case, or this plate anyway, was made April 21st, which is kind of cool. And I might be able to get the April 21st. Oh, it's just so hard. And then this says 1268, not sure what that is, but MOVI 9 or 660 or whatever. So there's some, I may be able to ascertain something out of that labeling here later on. And here, back to this part of the watch here. So here's the ratchet wheel here. And I just again want to make sure that the gears aren't chamfered in any way, and they don't seem to be, but this does go down. So there's an indent there, so it goes like that. So I do want to take a picture of that to make sure I know that it goes down. That way I don't accidentally put this together backwards. And I'm not sure why my light isn't going on. Damn it. On. I don't want auto flash, I want on. There. Yeah, and see, this here is the other side that I have to pay attention to. Alright, so that's good. I can just set that aside right now on my mat. It's kind of greasy, but what the hell, so am I. And I'll leave these intact. I probably want to take this out, maybe, only because if you don't take it out, there's a chance of losing it. And I'll set this aside and I'll keep that with the ratchet wheel. I'm leaving that spring in place. I'm leaving the crown wheel in place. I'm a little concerned about that, but I'll wash the whole mechanism first. I could take all this out, but I really don't want to. I know if I wash it, it'll get cleaned well enough, and I'll oil it and we'll be good for another 100 years. So that's it. Let me just back up here. Do I have time to remove the mainspring? I think so. So let's just grab that mainspring and see if I can't take out an eye. Take the plate out here for future washing. And I'll just put this aside and grab this. Take my number 58 movement holder and get that out of the way. I'm talking myself through all this. I think I need a new mat. Like, this mat's getting pretty dirty. There's the arbor. There's where the brake was. And this is the kind of spring I need. So I need to order another spring. Be great if I have one. I'll look and see, but I doubt it. So, because my springs aren't this fat usually. And to order the spring, you need to know the width of the spring. The length of the spring can be calculated. As the length, the diameter, what is it? The diameter should be 22% of the length of the spring. Something like, I read something recently that I'm going to use. So what I do usually is I take a screwdriver here and I kind of have my thumb down while I get this thing out, because I don't want it to fly away, right? So fly away with me. So let me just do that. So I got the screwdriver in here, and I'm just concerned of it flying out of the movement really fast and then smucking me. So that's probably set, which means it's pretty circular. See, it's starting to fly out right now, and that's usually a problem. Okay, now when I get it to this position here, I can just get my thumbs in here and walk it out. And it's a pretty strong spring, so it's not a pocket, or it's not a clock spring, but it's strong enough. So it'll give you a scar if you let it go. And now what I was told once, it looks like it's fairly set, and there's another piece in here. This is whatever the heck that is, but that's another piece sitting in there of the spring. I'll put that aside. And there's where the hook is, right there. And this is where it hooks in. So it's got this kind of a barrel hook in it. And there's a secondary hook here that sticks up through the plate, which is just in case that slips maybe, I'm not sure what. So I'm going to pay attention to this. But if you look at the spring and say, well, is this spring any good? If it was not broken, I'd look and see whether the spring is any good. I was told by somebody, if the spring is larger than the main plate, then you're good. If it's not, then it's set. So I look at this thing and I say, well, that's about the same size. That's a set spring. So it should be way out. The spring should be way out like that, like spread out. And you can't take it and re-bend it and then put it back. That's horse shit. So I've seen people do that. I've seen watchmakers actually take an old spring, stretch it out, and then you reuse it, which is crap. You need to get a new spring. So I'm going to find a new spring. I can't repair this until I find a new spring, and then we'll do the cleaning after. So I likely will hand clean this one as opposed to putting it in my cleaning machine. I may hand clean it and then put it in the cleaning machine as well, like do both, just to make sure it gets a very good cleaning. And then I've got to do the case, and I think the best thing for the case is to use my ultrasonic cleaner. I've got a big one. Another thing I just noticed is that the inside here looks like it has a copper ring on the inside, which is kind of cool. And there's probably no way of taking that out. This looks like it's pressed in. So that's a copper ring that goes all the way around, which means after I clean this in an ultrasonic cleaner, I got to leave it for a couple of days to dry. It needs time to dry. Now, if I use lighter fluid to clean it, that lighter fluid will evaporate, and I won't have as much problem with drying, right? There won't be leftover liquid in there that could maybe corrode with lighter fluid. It just goes away. So I may use lighter fluid to clean this as well. So that's it. That's the strip down of this very vintage, very old pocket watch, 1985 or 1885. Somebody told me yesterday, that's not old. Well, he's right, but it is 140 years old. So if that gentleman who said that is actually 140 years old, then great. But if he's not, then I think it's old. So There are a lot older watches, but this is for a vintage pocket watch. This is fairly old. So thanks a lot again. So I hope you found the strip down of this vintage pocket watch at least interesting to watch. So we're going to clean this up, and I'm going to go see if I can find and or source a new mainspring. I likely will have to source one because I don't recall having a mainspring with that end on it. So I'll have to go and find myself one. I usually go to cousinsuk.com to source my mainsprings. So thanks a lot for watching my channel. Please subscribe, please hit a like, and hope you enjoyed this video. It took me around 1 hour to do the stripping.